If you watched my video a couple months ago, then you know that I've been struggling with my Instagram account and what I want my niche to be, because for a long time, basically since I started that account, I haven't really had a niche. Now, a little backstory, because I've had my Instagram account for quite some time now, I think probably around 2 years. I started that account because, well, at the time I was actually doing more STEM academic stuff in school, but I wanted an outlet for my creativity. Now I'm going full creative and my major is film production, so not super relevant to why I started the account. But anyway, that was the initial reason that I started that account, and kind of why I named it Right Brain Rach, because of the whole I don't know if it's considered a myth. I don't know. The thing that you're told when you're little of your right brain is your creative side and your left brain is the math and science side. I kind of wanted to play off of that and be well, I'm doing STEM stuff at school, so Right Brain Rach, this is where I post all my right brain stuff, and my name is Rachel, so just that's where the rage comes from. So that was the whole reason I started the account in the first place. And I purposely made it very broad because I have always loved art and all different forms of art. I've never really been drawn to one specifically. So I called it Right Brain Rach so that it's just very broad. It's this is my creative outlet, this is my creative side, and that is a variety of things. So I kind of first started out with a lot of photography, a lot of journaling, because I was very into journaling when I first started that account, and more just random art projects that I was doing during the pandemic, the height of lockdown. So it was a lot more variety, which I really enjoyed. But then once life started to pick up again, I wasn't really doing as much variety of art. So then it became more photography focused, and they would kind of go through waves of whatever I was doing, because I was having trouble doing all those things. So it started being just a photography account for a few weeks, and then I finally did some art again, so here's this, and then back to some photos, and it was just kind of all over the place. Then I want to say over a year ago probably, I got my Apple Pencil and I started playing around with Procreate. And so then I started getting into digital illustrations and digital art. So then I started sharing that, and that started to become more of what my account was focused around, but not the sole thing. So fast forward to a couple months ago, my account reached a point where it was mostly photography and digital illustrations, and that was pretty much it. I kind of had stopped sharing journal spreads because I kind of stopped making such elaborate and pretty spreads, I guess you could say. I still journal all the time, but I just don't really do those elaborate bullet journal spreads anymore. So my account basically became photography and digital art, which I was fine with for a little while, but it reached a point where I wasn't really prioritizing digital art because it takes a long time, and I got busy with school. And so I started running out of that to post. So then it literally just became a photography account for a few weeks, which wasn't the purpose of the account to begin with. Now, I do love photography, and I wish that I could make it work with this account, but I think it was just too different from all the other art that I was sharing. And I haven't found myself being drawn towards following other photographers on Instagram. I've tried to look for them, and I just feel none of them stand out to me. All their photos are beautiful, but it's more portfolio feeling and not so much a community. So I don't really follow a lot of other photographers. So most of the people I follow are doing digital art or physical traditional art forms, and they follow me back sometimes, but I feel they don't really care for the photography. They're just there for the art, and I'm not going to let that fully dictate what I do with my Instagram account, but it definitely does have an influence over my decision, because obviously if I want to turn this into more than just an account with 100 followers, I do kind of need to think about who my audience is and what they like to see. So anyway, for a while I didn't really mind that this Instagram account was kind of just a creative art dump. That was kind of what it is meant to be. But now that I've kind of gone in the direction of trying to turn it into a business, it hasn't really been working anymore. And so I hit a crossroads a couple months ago, and I was overthinking everything and struggling to figure out what I wanted to do with this account and what direction I wanted to take it in. And that was when I created that video of me being what am I doing? So I kind of took a break, which I didn't want to, because I have taken enough breaks from that account, and I definitely think it's hurt my progress on that account. But I had to take a break from posting and just figure out what I was doing, because I was just kind of just posting random photos from my trip to New York in March for like weeks after that because I didn't know what I was doing with the account. And I was like, I need to just stop sharing random photos that I don't actually care to share, that I'm just like sharing so that I have something to post, and I need to figure out what I'm doing. So in those few weeks that I actually took that break, I was working on a lot of digital illustrations because I was trying to give my Etsy shop a bit of a makeover and finally put my digital illustration listings back up. So I created a ton of drawings in that time, and I was like, you know what? If I'm committing this much time to these illustrations, this is what my niche should be, at least for now. I think I was so hesitant to commit to a niche because I do like so many different art forms, and I also have always had the dream of selling physical products on Etsy, and I have so many ideas, but it's just really hard to execute, especially at this time of my life. I can't do it well, so I haven't done that yet, but I know that I would like to do that in the future. So I was hesitant to commit to digital illustrations when that's so different from physical products. I have always worried about that pivot because people always say you can always pivot later, so just start. But that seemed like such a big pivot to me that it worried me, and it still does, but I've decided to just let that go because future me will deal with that when we get there. But I'm never going to get there or get anywhere if I keep second guessing myself and not committing to something. So all that to say, I'm finally committing to digital illustrations as my niche on Instagram. I'm just going full send, only posting digital art in my actual feed. And then for other art stuff, I figured my story on Instagram would be a great place for that because I've always struggled with what to post on my Instagram story. I've never really known what to share, but I know that people like when you're active on there and not just posting like a couple times a week. So since making this decision to commit to digital illustrations as my niche and the stuff that I actually share on my regular Instagram posts, I have started sharing like photography, sometimes my journal spreads, and other art stuff on my story, which is nice because then it still gives me somewhere to share it because I still like to share that stuff, but it doesn't mess up my feed and make it look like I don't know what I'm doing and like I don't have a solid business plan. Plus, it gives me something to share on my story because I never know what to post on there. So I shared my first post of a digital illustration after making this commitment on June 1st, and I've been going strong since. Today is July 10th, so I've been doing it for a little over a month. And I haven't had any regrets yet. I'm not like, man, I wish I hadn't committed to this. I want to post this random picture from my vacation because, like I said, I've been putting those on my story instead. So I've been posting about once a week. It's not ideal, I know that, and I know that there are people who post way more on Instagram, but that's just not manageable for me. I've tried it, it doesn't work. These digital illustrations that I make take a long time to create because they're just very detailed and I put a lot of time and effort into them. So posting twice a week, even like I get to a point where when my life gets busy, I'm posting more digital illustrations than I'm creating. So then I reach a point where I run out of stuff to post. And that's always happened to me in the past. And that's why I end up taking like a month or two off from posting on Instagram when I don't want to, just because I'm out of stuff to post. So that's why I'm doing once a week. I think it's just way more manageable for me. It makes more sense for me and my schedule. I'm hoping that staying active on stories and stuff will kind of counteract the less efficient posting schedule of only once a week, but I think it's kind of too early to tell, but we'll see. So anyway, this is kind of just like a chat video of where I'm at and what I finally decided to do with my Instagram account and where I guess we're going from here. Once again, I was very hesitant to commit to this niche because I know that in the future I would love to sell physical products, and that just seems like a big, difficult pivot to make. But as I said, we'll just get there when we get there. I think I was really hurting my growth for a long time on Instagram. I was kind of the reason I wasn't growing because people would come to my page and not really understand what it was for and what I was sharing on there. And so they didn't really feel drawn to follow me because they're like, I don't even know what this account is. So I'm finally just deciding to commit to a niche because that's what everyone else does and it seems to work for them. So hopefully it works for me, and we'll deal with the pivot when we get there.